Hopefully. Excellent.
The stream is live.
Managed to go live. Okay, so apologies to everybody out there because this is the first time I've used this live streaming equipment. So I've had a few technical glitches, which is why it's a few minutes later than I anticipated. But we are definitely in for something completely different today. Apart from the fact that I've got an elongated head, as I've just been pointed out, that makes me look like I'm from some mad galactic command. So I will be your galactic commander today as we meet the wonderful Fiona Maguire, who has a skill set which is completely unique to anyone that I've ever met. So Fiona, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would, but the first thing I'd like to say, I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but there's a definite delay.
No.
Not in the sound, but in the visualization. Is that happening with you, my end?
Well, I'm not picking it up, but then I'm from Galactic Command,
Okay.
so I'm interplanetary, and it's all the same. It's all a universal oneness where I'm coming in. So if you can handle it, if you can handle the delay, then do give us your intro.
Yeah. So my name's Fiona Maguire. I'm an intuitive transformational coach, which basically what I do is I help people get unstuck and live their purpose, create the life of their dreams, and move forward being the person they were meant to be, they were born to be, and who they chose to be. So you know when you're doing that because your life is great, you're enjoying your life, you're full of joy, and everything feels meaningful and purposeful.
Great.
It's like,
Okay.
woo, every day when you get out of bed.
That's it. Hallelujah. Well, there you go, folks. Job done. That's a slam dunk. Win. It's a winner. So maybe I'll explain it in slightly different terminology. Fiona reads energy. So when you go and you think you've got a problem and it's in your head, you can talk about it, but she can cut straight through and read your energy and tell you exactly what's actually happening versus what you think is happening, which is why working with her is always an interesting experience. So let's talk about this of growing up with that sort of skill set. That must have been a very interesting time for you.
Yeah, because when you were young, you just think that you're like everyone else because, you just do that. That's just the way it is. And everything is so natural and normal to you that why would anyone else be any different? So I'll give you some examples. I would feel what people were really feeling. And it used to confuse me that my mother would let her friends lie because we weren't allowed to lie. So once I actually said to my mum, well, a friend came in because Irish household, you know how it is, doors always open, people are coming in and out all the time, cup of tea, sandwich, sit down, have a yanna. And it was like this woman came in and she was pretending to be happy. And I just looked at her and I looked at my mum, and I was about 3, and I was like, why is she behaving like that? She's not happy at all. She just had an argument with her husband. And because I could talk from an early age, surprise, surprise. And my mum just looked at me, and this woman, like I tell you, she almost fell off the sofa. She wanted to get away from me so quickly. And my mum was like, Fiona, I think you should go to your bedroom. I'm like, why? She's the one that's lying, not me. My mum was like, Fiona, I think you should go. And I was like, okay. And then on buses, I would just look at people's body and say, oh, I wonder why their back's out of alignment. I wonder why their foot is hurting them or their shoulder's hurting them. And I would just know this by looking at the person. And, I can remember a few events when I was about 5, 6, 7. And I didn't even know what the word alignment actually meant. I just knew that their back didn't look like how other people's backs looked like. And I could see that's what was causing them pain. So I would just ask their body, what would it be like to be normal, to be how you came into the world? And like that, their back would just straighten up. And people used to give me the filthiest looks. And it used to upset my mother, but it never upset me because I'd just be like, what's wrong with them? they should be happy now. They're out of pain. So that's what it was like when I was really young. And then in my teenage years, it was harder because I started to realize that I was a little different. And I just couldn't understand why people wanted to hurt other people. I didn't understand the bullies or the bitching, backstabbing. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand why everyone didn't want to just get on and have a laugh and love each other. So, yeah, that's how it was. Not that easy.
Well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? So you can actually talk to people's bodies and ask the body, what is it that you're looking for? Talk about that. How does that actually work? Do you get messages? Do you see blockages? Does the body actually have a voice? How does that come from your end? How do you receive that information?
Well, now that I'm quite a bit older than my teenage years, now I didn't see it as a child. I just knew it. I just knew where the pain was and how the pain was. So for me, it was just a feeling and a knowing. And as I've got older, it's now on every single spectrum, on every single sense. So it depends who I'm talking to. Like I had a woman, a client this morning, and I was actually channeling. And what that means is that I'm opening my consciousness up. My consciousness is moving to one side. I'm so much aware of what's happening and what's going on, and I'm still thinking for myself. But what's coming through my mouth is a higher dimensional being. And I didn't ask who it was today. I don't always know the signature of them. I know what's a higher dimensional being and what's not, but I don't always ask them their name, where they're from, and blah, blah, blah. And they were showing me some awesome things. It was like, so I study psychology and bioneuroscience. That sounds very posh, doesn't it? As part of psychology. And it was like looking in those days in the textbooks, and we had some videos of inside the brain and how the synapses work and different things like that, and the nervous system. And I studied that again when I became a craniosacral therapist. And they would actually show me inside of her brain and the nylon sheaths and what was happening and how things were misfiring and everything like that. And I was just like fascinated. I could have just sat and watched the show. But of course, they had things that were coming through me that I was telling her. And it was just something that she really deeply needed to release inside of her body. And it was to do with forgiveness, but it was working on all levels of her body. It was just fascinating. So I'm aware that I've got a bit geeky and excited, and I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Well, usually the answer to one question creates a couple more. So let's move. Let's flow with it. Let's flow with this. So the body communicates to us, and you interpret that. And our thoughts and beliefs influence how our body shows up. So let's talk about this. I thought, if we think certain things, will that naturally reflect into the body? Will it put it out of alignment with certain thoughts? And in reverse, can the right thoughts rectify pain in the body?
Okay, I will answer that. I just want to. Some people think I'm pedantic, but for me, I think I just love clarity. So I don't interpret what someone's body is telling them. I literally hear, feel, see, smell what the body's doing. And the reason why that's such a big difference is because what my pea brain has to say about it, I'm just not that interested, because I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but actually the body is innately intelligent. So this actually does answer your question. Woo! So the body's innately intelligent, and therefore it knows what it needs. So somebody might be dehydrated, right? So when you work in hospitals, dehydration, give them water, maybe give them water with some orange juice, maybe give them water with salt. And I'm saying this because we both worked in hospitals. But actually, the body might turn around and say, I'm dehydrated, but I need a banana. And you think, well, that's not liquid. Why the hell do you need a banana? Because a banana's potassium, and potassium will unlock the thing in their body that's keeping them dehydrated. A doctor wouldn't instantly jump to that solution, but the body knows.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So that the body is always communicating with us, but who's there to interpret that? You can interpret that message. That's an interesting.
It's not an interpretation. It's not an interpretation. It's a direct receiving, and that's what people have to learn how to do: is directly put their attention from their head into their body and be with their body and honor it for the innate intelligence, the innate wisdom that it actually is. And then they'll find the communication will just come. I don't interpret something, well, but actually, I do interpret something you say to me, Adam, because that's how our brain works. But that's not how we communicate with our own body. We just have to listen to it on a deep level. And in fact, if we did listen to each other on a deep level, then there would be no interpretation. We would hear through our hearts. We would hear through the heart brain, the real brain. And there would be no wars or conflict in the world then, because we'd be being who we truly are. Like, one of your names is the heart guy. It's probably why we're really good friends, because we believe in truth, we believe in trust, we believe in coming from the heart, being who we truly are. No BS required here. Thank you very much.
Well, that's true, but I think you have to appreciate that not many people would be able to go in and get that message directly. So, and I think from our conversations, let's just say it as it is, we get lost in semantics sometimes. I've noticed just before we go on, look, we've got new Yoda here. We've got Planet C64. Thanks for joining us. Look at that, our little impromptu, random live session. People are turning up and saying hello. So hello to you. Thank you for being part of my guinea pig experiment. So for you lunatics that have joined us, I decided that we would just try this live stream and do it for the first time. And Fiona's my guinea pig. And she's a great guinea pig to have on this because she's got such an out there skill set that I will say, if you've got any questions, then do ask away, because you've got very good opportunity here, because maybe you missed it at the beginning, but Fiona reads energy and she channels. So in a different way to how I explain channeling as well. She has a different method of doing that and actually channels. She's doing some really interesting stuff at the moment. So if you've got any questions, do pop them in the chat. We are watching them. We are keeping updated, and we're just sort of flowing with the go here. That's how we're moving at the moment. So I met Fiona plenty of years ago. I've lost track of how many years. It's about a decade or more since we connected.
It's more than that. I think we met about 18 years ago.
There you go. See, that just shows my dementia kicking in. It's but we met probably before then. Let's face it. There's probably some past life madness going on there for people, and people on this channel tend to be open to that kind of stuff. So we were meant to connect when the time was right. She's like my soul sister, and she has an interesting skill set that is both a gift and a curse. And we talk about this on the journey a lot. So in many respects, Fiona's one of the most gifted people I've ever met, but she's also one of the most challenged because of the gifts she's got. So talk about that. How has that really shown up for you? Is it a gift? Is it a curse? Or is it both in equilibrium?
That's a really interesting question, because I'm really at the stage now. And I would have said I was at this stage. I've been at this stage for a long time, but there's definitely been a revelation in it. So right now, I'm definitely at the stage where there's no way in the world I'd want to change the way I am, and it's not a curse in any way whatsoever. Now, and has it been? Yes, it's been hard. It's been difficult. Just feeling that you don't belong, like almost constantly feeling that you don't belong, it's hard. It's hard to deal with. Not finding what other people find funny, makes you an outsider. So, for example, somebody might hurt somebody or put somebody down or something like that. And, I guess part of me could find it funny, but at a soul level, at a deep level, it's just not funny to me. And I just don't want to laugh at something like that because I feel the pain. I feel the pain of the other person on many levels: physical, mental, emotional. I feel their deeper wounds. So putting them down, even for a laugh, it's not funny. So in a way, that's difficult. And yeah, communication is something actually, Adam, that I've always had a challenge with. Because to me, the point of communication is to really hear each other. And therefore, when people were talking to me and I would really hear them. But it took me a while to realise that people didn't want that. They actually wanted me to listen to their words, but I was listening to the whole thing. And that scared a lot of people. And it made relationships a nightmare.
So we've actually moved into an interesting part now because, I'm your mate, and I would say that there's sometimes that you're the first person I want to speak to when I want to get cut through all of the shit and get there. But there's sometimes I really don't need that level of transparency or honesty. And, I wasn't able to handle the truth. It was a Jack Nicholson moment. And I know I've been sending you that little video clip. You can't handle the truth. How do you find that? Because I mean, I will also say, for the record, I've met a few people that have similar. Nothing, nobody has the same skill set as you, but similar skill sets in that they can read energy. But you've developed the technique, which I've got total kudos for, that you can switch it off. How long did that take you to do?
It took me until I was 41 years old.
So that's mad. Like, that must have been like a mad schizophrenic experience, wasn't it, to be completely getting all of this sensory overload at all times? How did you deal with that?
Well, it's like everything in life, isn't it? Like when it's just the way your life is, again, it's just there. It's just something that is part of you, and you just get on with life. Um, you just get on with life. But to sort of put this in a funnier context, saying that relationship is a nightmare. I remember, so I'm bisexual. I date men and women, not at the same time because it's too complicated. I just like to have one person at once. So yeah, talk about sensory overload. So I just remember my ex-girlfriend going, "I hate it when you know I'm angry before I do." And I'm like, well, how does that work out then? Like, how can she not know that she's angry? Like, how can she not know that she's just been a bit of a bitch to me? How can she not know that? So one day, rather than getting triggered, I just said, "I'm really sorry. Maybe I'm stupid, but can you explain what it is you mean?" And she's like, "Well, you don't ask me, am I angry? You say to me, why are you angry? And then I feel angry. So then I think it's your fault that I'm angry." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." you know. So it's just like I was just like, God, I've got to learn not to pay attention to that. Wait until they show me they're angry before I actually respond to the fact that they're angry. I guess as a child, it'd just be like, "Oh, mum or dad's angry. I'm going out. Bye." I wouldn't even go into the house. And she's like, "See ya." If I wasn't stopped at the front door. So yeah, so that's how it can be difficult, really. But I remember very clearly. So it was on a retreat here in Portugal. I came on this 2-month intensive retreat, and I had a very open conversation with the teachers before I decided to join the retreat, and I said to them, that I read energy. That's what I actually said to them, and they were like, "What does that mean?" And I said, "Well, you've got the gift." And I point to the female teacher, so you know what I mean. She just sort of looked at me, and she looked at her husband, and she's like, "Okay, well, will you not do that while you're here on the retreat then?" And I asked why, and I didn't get a satisfactory answer. But I decided not to be pedantic. I've decided to just listen to the inner knowing that I needed to do this retreat. So just to leave the answer. And so I remember the first day of the retreat, and there was all women on the retreat that completely freaked me out because, as you know, Adam, at least half my life, my best friend has been a male, hence yourself. And so I was down the bottom of the valley, and all these women passed me, and one of them said something, and I just looked at her, and this is the God's honest truth. Without reading energy, I just could not tell if she was serious, if she was putting me down, if she was having a laugh, if she meant what she said, what I was meant to do with what she said. Because what she said, the words of it, made no sense to me whatsoever. And I was just looking at her like, so who's mad in this situation? Is it me or is it you? Because I have no idea what you just said or what it means. And she just kind of gave up. She just kind of walked away without telling me what she meant. And at that point, I just thought, wow, it feels like I'm from Mars and I've just landed on Earth and I've got no idea what's going on. And God's honest truth, it took me about a week, 10 days in this space before I started to get what people were saying.
Yeah.
And it was so bizarre. I was just like, to be honest, I remember thinking, and I'm a woman, so hopefully I can say this without offending anybody. Why don't you bloody women shut up, or at least just get to the point? Like, for bleep's sake, what is it you're trying to say? I'm hearing blah, 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 and a few words that make sense, and blah, blah, blah. And it was just bizarre. I got on with the male teacher like a house on fire during the retreat.
So obviously, what I'm hearing here is you're finding it easier to just get on with guys than women. And what would you put that down to?
Well, I was for sure, because they're just, again, I'm not offending anybody. Read the book. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. It's just that men like things to be straight to the point. Men don't normally elaborate on their feelings. They normally communicate from their left hemisphere. These are the facts. These are the figures. This is what I need. So let's put this in a context that everyone understand. When you turn around to your husband and you say, "Can you take the trash out now?" He's likely to get up and take the trash out, right? If you say to your husband, "Can you take the trash out?" He'd be like, "Yeah," and he'd still sit down. He'd still say sitting. Now that infuriates most women. You've asked him if he can do something, and he said yes. So in his head, it's taken care of. The time frame doesn't matter. He'd do it when he's finished doing whatever he's doing in that moment. But to you, it's like, I've asked you that in a polite way, and then you're like, "So can you do it then?" And he's like, "Whoa, hold on, love. It's all right. I'm just finishing reading the paper," or whatever it is he's doing. They're completely different ways of communicating, aren't they?
Well, it's funny. You've actually opened up a can of worms here. So I'll share a little experience of my own. When I used to work night shifts as a nurse, there were two women that I worked with that were really good. They're good friends of mine. I would call them good friends of mine. And somebody stitched me up one day. So it must have been a stitch up. They left this book on the nurses' station, and it was called "Why Men Can't Read Maps and Women Can't Park Cars." And it was by Alan and Barbara Pease, I think, who were like relationship experts. And they said, "Look, you have to understand the difference between men and women. And here's an example." So they said that men they're hunter gatherers. They see like this. whereas women are sort of the nest protectors, so they see everything. So a man will just miss everything on the peripheral, and the women will see everything. And the way that the minds work is different. And they gave me, here's an example of a scenario where men fall down every time. So it could be in a relationship, and the man and the woman's there, and the woman comes in with a red dress and a blue dress and says, excuse me, darling, which one do you prefer? Now, the man will be sitting there thinking, well, I don't really mind, take it. But they both look, and the man will say they both look great. Both dresses look great. Yes, but which one do you prefer, dear? Yes, but they both look great. And then the man, just the third time, is like, yes, but there must be one that you prefer. And then out of desperation, the guy will just say, well, the blue one looks good. And then it's a case, then the next question is, what's wrong with the red dress? And I was reading this and going, this is lunacy. And I would look up at the two girls and they went, yeah. And I realised I'd walked into a trap. They just absolutely attacked me. And they're like, yeah, of course. I'm like, this is madness. I can't process. Does not compute. Is this a real scenario? I mean, is this like a standard thing? Is this what the men and women difference is?
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So if your girlfriend asked me to go, my girlfriend asked me to go and get something, and then by the time I've got it and I bring it back to her, it's not what she asked for. And because, I've literally forgot by the time I've entered the shop or whatever. So I read her energy and find out what she really wants, and I'll buy what she really wants. That makes sense to me. I go back to her, I give her what she really wants, and she says, that's not what I want. You never listen to me. Okay, do you want me to go back and get you what you want then? No, it's all right. I'll put up with this. Okay. Scenario with a man, right? Same scenario. Bring back what he really wants. Give it to a man. A man will go, "Oh, right on, love. Thanks very much." Because he's got what he wants. He doesn't give a shit what he told me he wanted. He's got what he wants. To him, it's like job done, good un. Right or wrong?
So we're just a more simple species. That's what you're telling me.
Well, no, I'm not saying simple. It's just men are more direct. They're more, on whole, they're more logical, and they know what they want. And it's that I know what I want. It's that tunnel vision, that directedness. Now, what we need to remember is that we both are male and female, because we have our bodies and we have our brain, and for the majority of the planet, our brain works the same way that our bodies sexually orientated. So if in a female body, your brain is wired as a female brain, and for other people that's not the way it is, transgender people, for example. But the reason why I bring this, I've actually forgotten the reason why I started talking about this. Actually, what was your last question?
Hey, I've got
No, it's just the way our brains are literally wired. The male brain will go from A to B to C to D, and then back again. Where the female brain will go from A to Z to D to, it'll do all of this to get to the same point that the man got to almost straight away. But we will do that very quickly. So we just, it's because of that multitasking, needing to do a lot of things at once, having a wide periphery vision. This was our way of protection, to look and to see everything, to know everything, to feel everything, to be able to sniff, or sense that, danger's coming. Where a man's job was, another man telling him, look, danger's coming, it's over the hill. All right, I'm going to go and kill them. They're just different tasks. But when we get into our divine male and female, then the divine feminine is nurturing, it's open, it's creativity, it's love. And the divine masculine is is logic, it's the ability to connect with what's needed, and do it straight away, to stay completely focused on something to achieve it. So they just look different. But when we're in our divine masculine and our divine feminine, then our lives are really balanced and we're completely whole in ourselves.
Fair play. So let me ask you this question. I mean, and by all means, tell me no here. I mean, we know that that you do channeling. Now we've got a few people on the stream now, and people will be watching this video after the stream. So does it feel appropriate or right for you now to do a little channeling for a message that people need to hear, or to give us your own message that's not channeled to the people on this on this channel?
So obviously I don't know anyone else on this on here. So let me see what wants to come through, what wants to happen. So okay, I'll try and do it and keep my eyes open. So here we go, folks. Something new.
And now for something completely different.
Yeah. So gosh, I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna look at the computer. I have my eyes open, but I'm gonna stare into the garden. Welcome all. I'm so happy to be invited here. So Adam, you need to slow me down if I get too fast, because you know the information comes in so quickly. Thank you for inviting me here to speak to all of you. As you all know, we are going through a time of a massive change, a great change. And I guess the people that are here listening are all light workers. So that was me that come in. He knows they're all light workers. So you're all light workers that are here now. So you experienced a time of turmoil as this time now that we're in has come up in the world. Sorry, I'm just going to put it back to full screen because I can't be distracted by the comments. That's why I normally have my eyes closed. So all of you have had a hard time in the last few years. And the reason is because you need to get ready. You need to get ready for what's going to come. Because what's going to come on the planet is a time of separation, a time of moving away from each other. Now, you light workers, you need to keep yourself strong. You need to keep yourselves in a higher vibration, not because you're better than anybody, but because that is what's needed to heal the planet and to heal the other people and to heal yourself. Now, the hard time has been for us to press your buttons, for you to experience turmoil and chaos and a feeling of fluctuation inside of your body. So you can then stand in your center, you can then stand straight and be who you truly are. Now, the pain that you have been through is to bring through your strengths. We're not talking about strength as in muscle, we're talking about strength as in the knowing and the heart opening, the being true to yourself. It is a time for honesty. It is a time for letting go of the past that is not needed anymore. The old story is exactly that. It is the old story. It is time to move forward, being you, being the truth of who you are, with an open heart. And yes, you will find yourself finding your voice and being more direct. And some people won't like that. But that is not your problem, because your mission here is to be the light, to be the love. And that can only happen if you're sitting in your heart and being true to yourself and hearing what is there to be truly heard and felt and seen. Remember, we love you. You chose to be here. And even though it's chaotic at times, remember who you are and reach out to us, because we are always here. Thank you.
Oh wow, thank you. I can feel my skin tingling with that message. Now, hopefully, Planet C64, that's answered your question. It certainly answered mine. Well, the question was, well, you can have a look at it. It says, I've been told I've been playing small in my life, and I need to put myself out there, help or anything. So hopefully, yes, Planet C64's got back. New Yoda's asked who is being channeled.
So yeah, I'm going to close my eyes for this because it's better. We are the Light Council. The Light Council of Adronima. That's it. That's all that. That's their answer.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Light Council, for joining us, for being present for this little message. If
So
anyone else got...
let's just put this in context, sorry, if I may. So I, like many people, have had disability all of our lives, but I've always avoided it because I didn't I didn't want to be seen as out there. Isn't that ironic? Because to me, I was normal. Like what I could do and what I've been doing my whole entire life was normal for me. Now, when I first started receiving messages from other beings, I decided I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to be seen as fluffy. I wanted to know that if what I already knew was true. So my life path has been studying science to prove to myself what I already knew. And thank God, when I was in my early 30s, I kind of started to put the science down and just run with what I knew. And that was when I wrote my first book. And that has been a deepening journey. So channeling openly for myself, because that's not something new. I've never channeled messages for me. I've always been better at reading. I've always connected with my energy and spoke to my energy and spoke to my body. And I've always known where my higher self wants to take me, but I've never heard the voice of my higher self until recently. And it started on February the 1st. So I'm telling you this now because I don't always ask for the names. I have no education in the different planets, the different angels, their names, their abilities, or anything like that. And I prefer not to know, because I just want the purity of the voice to come through me without any editing.
Yeah.
So sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. I think, if anything, we interrupted you. So, I mean, I'm sure we've opened up a really interesting realm here. I wanted to give people that were lucky enough to be here on the live stream an opportunity to get to know you in the same way that I do. And, you know, through being part of this journey of seeing, you know, how all the challenges that have gone with it as well. And just to bring alive, and I'm sure you won't mind me sharing it, you know, Fiona had a very close call. We're talking near-death experience here. I don't know if you want to talk about that yourself or if you want to elaborate on it, where you had an opportunity to get... Well, I will open this door because it feels appropriate, because you really had an opportunity. I mean, it was a close call, but it was also an opportunity to get a deeper connection with spirit here, with the Light Council, with the people, with your guardian angels. So I feel that it feels appropriate for me to open this door and allow you to talk about it.
Well, so what happened is that in June, I forget the day, I think it was June the 9th of 2023, I was in Portugal, because I spent half my time in Portugal and half my time in England. I was in Portugal, and there was a freak storm. It rained. And I had to go building a house, as you do. And I had to go and get a double glazed window. I had to go and pick one up. So we had this freak storm, and I thought, well, I know how to drive in the rain. My father taught me how to drive. I'll be fine. And a little bit of me was nervous. Anyway, cut a long story short, I had this freak accident. My van aquaplaned. It went up a hill and just fell. And when I opened my eyes, I expected to be outside the vehicle, outside the van, looking in on myself, on a dismembered body with blood all over me. I expected to be dead. I thought in that moment that I was dead. So I opened my eyes, and I was hanging upside down in my van. I was like, I'm here. And of course I swore, I'm Irish. And I was just like, hey, I'm here. And I was like, oh, but how do I get out of the van? You know, my seatbelt had held me. And what happened, and I released this on YouTube, is that a star being had come and saved me. It literally held my head and held the seatbelt. And without that star being, I would have died. There's no doubt about it. And I need to put up my, that's it. There's no doubt about it. I would have died. So I was just full of euphoria. In fact, the ambulance come. Someone else called an ambulance. The ambulance came, and I wasn't going to go to hospital. And then I realised my body was like, knock, 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 Fiona, listen to us, knock, knock, knock. So I was like, okay. And it was like, oh, there's nerve damage. You need to go. You need to go. And you need to tell them there's nerve damage. I was like, okay. So I said to the ambulance crew, oh, I have nerve damage. I need to go to the hospital. They just looked at me like I was mental. And they never paid any attention to the fact that I kept telling them that I had nerve damage. They just wanted to x-ray me. And they paid no attention to the fact I said, well, fractures aren't going to show up on the x-rays anyway. I remember saying this to them. But I was so euphoric that I'd survived that for at least a week, I was just like, way, I'm alive. And then I realised with a sudden crash back down to earth, I didn't have any food. And I realised it because my dog didn't have any food. So then it was like, oh, I need to go shopping. And I live literally in the middle of nowhere. So I'd run out of food and water. But I'm telling you all of this because that euphoria quite quickly went away when my injuries really showed up, when the nerve damage started to show and the fractured rib cage started to show and my health went down rapidly. So I actually hit the darkest period of my life. And I went in and out of this dark period for 18 months. And it was tough. It was the hardest thing I've been through. So I've been reflecting a lot on why did I go through that? And there's one reason why I went through that. There's one main reason. And the main reason was I never knew what it was like to be disconnected from Creator. I didn't know that. I'd always lived in this unison, this connection with Creator. So to be separated from that, it literally broke my heart. And I hit depression. I hit some really dark black moments that I shared a little bit with you, Adam, but I didn't share it with many people because I didn't know who I was. I'd lost that connection. I'd lost confidence and trust in myself, in everything. And it was really hard. And then I started to listen again to my body first. What do you need? What is it that you want? And slowly I got back my connection, and then it came back with bells and whistles. And that's when the marching of our being started to show up, and that's where I am now. And I'm fully back to my pure joy of who I truly am. I got a bit lost like we all do during our adult journey. But that was fine by me to get lost in that human way. But to lose my connection with the Creator, that wasn't fine by me. And that was really tough.
Well, fair
So,
play.
but it's given me a humble understanding of where other people are.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that we've got a few people here, obviously. If you've got any questions, folks, tap them in because I'll probably be wrapping this up in the next few minutes. But if you do have any pressing questions for Fiona or the Light Council, then by all means, tap them away here. And I would encourage you to follow her and what she's doing because she really is doing some incredible stuff. She's a very good friend of mine, and she's been right there through the journey, through the ups and downs. So, and also has a very genuine talent. I've met a lot of people on this journey, and her skill set is truly unique. Ability to cut through the bullshit and to really get to the point usually faster than you can explain it. It's disconcerting and impressive in equal measure being on the receiving end. But
do you mind? Oh, sorry, Adam. I don't. It's just not always streamed. So I was going to say,
there's been a few glitches in the stream. I have noticed that. I think the Matrix has taken us down momentarily for bits and pieces of it. But yeah, so what I say? Oh, hang on. Perhaps link Fiona's channel in the chat. Oh yeah, Arrow. Thank you for that. We're just new to the live streaming. This is our first time. We're sort of virgins on the live streaming side. So this was almost a recorded Zoom chat because we were starting to lose the plot with how to use the live streaming equipment. But yes, Planet C64, good call. Sub into Fiona's channel. You're a step ahead of the game here. I'm sure you'll find that hugely beneficial to you as far as that's concerned. So what I would say is, Fiona, one of Planet C64 is already a step ahead of us, but for everyone else, how do they connect with you? How do they find out more?
So I've just sent you a link. There's a storm here and it's not allowing me to open YouTube anyway. I've just sent you a link in the private chat, how they get to my page. I couldn't join. I'll try again. So it's okay with you if I do put a link? That's what I ask you.
Yeah, put it in. In fact, if you want me to paste it into the public chat, I shall.
If you can, because it's not allowing me to do that.
Right.
So in the private chat, do you have that link, Adam?
Yeah, I've just copied it and it's going in the public chat now that people have it. So Arrow says, I'm a stone Luddite as regards to technology. Well, you'll understand. Then you will understand what we've gone through today, because this is very much a work in progress. It's the first live stream that we've done with the with what we have here. And Fiona has very kindly agreed to be my guinea pig today, and hopefully this will be the start of many more, folks. So yeah, we're just toying around with it, seeing how it all works, and unfortunately being able to get this message out there today. So yeah, there's a link there to Fiona's to get in touch with Fiona further, which I completely agree. We've got Laurie Lander here as well. I'm new to you both. I've questions, but not sure what to ask. I've some things coming through. I've no idea what's going on. Fiona seems so clear, and mine seems so super muddled. Well, I'll leave that with you, Fiona. Do you want to respond to Laurie? What were you picking up? What are you picking up? And thanks, Planet C64. Yes, I feel very lucky that we managed to go live today. And Arrow, thank you for your insight. So what are you picking up for Laurie?
So I put my YouTube in the private chat, Adam, because someone asked for that, didn't they?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
so
I'll get that up there. Do you want to tell us what you're getting for Laurie?
Okay, so she wants to know what's coming through for I don't really get the question, sorry.
Okay, so let's have a look. So, well, she's a little bit muddled at the moment. So are you picking up anything that might point her in a slightly less muddled direction?
She won't allow herself to be truly who she is. She's listening to conditioning and what other people are telling her and what other people want. And I'm aware my body's moving people, but for some reason my body has to move because I've got my eyes open while I'm reading. So yeah, she's listening to what everyone else, in fact, not even sure if it's a man or a woman, but they're listening to what everyone else is telling them rather than actually following their own dreams and their own knowing and their own insights.
So there you go, Laurie. Stop listening to whoever it is you're listening to that's causing all of this confusion, and get in touch with your own inner wisdom, which, funnily enough, this channel's all about. That's what it's all about, folks. It's what it's all
But she
about.
will know what that is anyway.
Yeah. So
So
she's
if you
saying,
ground, Rory, okay, I picked that up as well. If you ground and ask them to line up and ask them which one, so right, start again. Break the voices, reground, ask for only guidance for 100% love and light to come through, and then ask them to line up and which one is the most important for you to be heard, to come, but only 100% love and light. That's what she's asking.
yeah.
So
Okay.
this link that I put in, can I say?
Yeah. Well, I've posted it.
So yeah, the link, thank you, Adam. The link is it's to a brand new product that I've been launching today, and it's called a breakthrough session. So people can come to a breakthrough session. It's a brand new product. Normally I only work in blocks of sessions, but this is one session. It lasts for up to 2 hours, and it's at a special offer price of £197. And they get recordings if that's beneficial for them. They get energy clearings. They get a higher dimensional guidance. They get me talking to their higher self. They will get clarity and know with certainty what the next steps they need to take, and they have confidence and trust in taking those next steps. So whether they're stuck and they need someone to talk to because their life doesn't look the way they want it to look like, or whether like everything on the outside looks absolutely brilliant, but on the inside that they're dying or they feel completely dead, and they want to know what their real purpose is, then have that session with me.
Well, there you go, folks. I definitely recommend that. If you're watching this, you'll get a lot of clarity from a session with Fiona, as I do every time that we speak. So thank you for being my guinea pig today, Fiona, and for everyone else for sticking with us through the tech glitches. Hopefully we'll get better as we move forward and I understand what I'm doing. Because I certainly don't know when it comes to tech. I'm a bit of a Luddite as well myself. So we're getting there. We are moving slowly in the right direction. And just want to thank all of you that are still on the threads that have joined us throughout. Hopefully this will be a great opportunity for you to get to know someone that I know is the absolute real deal. So there you go, folks. And this has come from a lot of years, many decades of meeting a lot of people. And quite frankly, a lot of them are full of shit, folks. But you'll definitely get value for your money if you spend time with Fiona, because she cuts through it probably a bit too quickly for most people. But if you're ready for that degree of transparency and truth, then you're definitely on the right track here. So anything that you want to finish up with, Fiona, before I sign off?
It's always with love and compassion. So people will get what they're ready to hear to bring them to the next step. That's what it's all about. You know, it's about what's best for them. I don't have any agenda, or it's going to be like this or it's going to be like that. So it's where people are at. Like, I used to be a sports massage therapist back in the day, and some of the guys, it was just like, look, I'm going to sack you as a client if you don't do your exercises. And for other people, a more gentle approach was needed, like, hey, why aren't you doing your exercises? What's going on at home? Do you want to tell me about it? So in other words, people get the directness that they need to move them forward in the way that they need to move forward.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thanks, Fiona. Thanks for joining me. Thanks to everyone there, to Arrow, to Laurie, to Planet C64, who I believe are still on the thread. and everybody that's shown up today. So yes, hopefully this will be the first of many, now that we understand, now that I know how to set it up and actually get it going. So thanks everybody, and thanks for
Yeah, thank you. All right. Bye. Ciao. I don't know how to leave.